Hi, I'm Dr. Nicole.
Hey, it's Coach Kofia.
And it's Dion. Welcome to Opportunities Over Obstacles.
The podcast where we discuss lessons in motherhood.
Life and business. What's up? What's popping?
What's up? What's up?
How's it? How's it going? Oh, Dion, you're muted. I can't hear. We can't hear you.
There we go. We're going to get it together. We're going to get it together.
We are.
Look,
Happy
Happy
New
New
Year. Woo.
Happy New Year 2024 in the house.
We made it.
2024 seemed so, like, I remember watching the Jetsons and being like, I wonder what 2000 such and such is going to be. I'm like, it's actually here.
Wow. Yeah. It's moving fast. I feel like I just graduated from high school and now it's like so many years after that.
Yes, yes.
Ringing in the new year, we're talking about some things related to the new year. So like my word for last year was strategic.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would be interested to know like what was your word last year, and it will give us insight into the topic we're going to talk about today. I think today we're talking about consistency in business. And so I think it would be cool for all of us to go around and just kind of talk about how, what was our word and how are we consistent
Ooh.
in that word.
Now, see,
Right.
I wasn't expecting that second part.
You threw that in there like, okay,
I did.
I'm gonna
I
trip
did.
them up.
I did.
I'm gonna trip them up.
No. I knew you was going to turn it into an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So,
Okay. Keeping with
Or
the
an
theme. I love it.
opportunity. Yeah.
An
right.
opportunity.
Yes. So,
Let's see.
what's your word?
How did I see? The first part was easy. Okay, so my word for 2023 was postured. Like I just wanted to be in a position where, because I was well positioned, I attracted certain opportunities, and definitely I can say the doors open. What kept me consistent? I
Mhm.
think just slowing down and asking myself if said opportunity was the one that aligned with like where I wanted to go and like my values and all that. And it was just a constant reminder, that word. So it was like, it's, like it's very instinctive to say yes to everything. I mean, I know
Mhm.
we're talking about business, but just in, all
Yeah.
aspects of life, it's very easy to just say yes. But then it's like, no, Dion, like your word is postured. Like, what does that mean? That means I don't have to chase. I don't have to, if someone says no to me, I'm not going to try to talk them out of a thing. That's not my job. So just having that always present. And I don't know, I'm a stickler for routines.
Mhm.
So that's also been really helpful, is planning out all of my business activities. And if I say I'm gonna run the play, I'm gonna run the play. And even before even before last year, it was always like, just run the play. And you can
hmm
always like
Yeah.
pivot and readjust later.
That's good.
Yes, yes, yes. My word for 2023 was overflow. And I think it's kind of in a similar vein, Dion, just in terms of really receiving the fruits of all of my labors. And
Mhm.
I think consistency, you will not get the fruits unless you're consistent in the cultivating. So I was
Mhm.
like, okay, and we know we have big dreams, we all three of us, but it's like the little day-to-day steps that are going to manifest into your dreams. So I just felt
Yeah.
like my word was overflow, and like, not that that was the end of the road and I just am ready to get my harvest, but it was like, yes, this is my time and it's going to continue to be my time. And so I
Mm.
feel like it's related to consistency. And something my trainer said my at the gym, um, he was like, whenever I said, I feel like I'm reaching a plateau, he said, that's always a mindset. When you're at a plateau, like in on the gym, we were talking on the gym side, whether it's building muscle mass, because they put you on the machines and they can see your
Hmm.
weight and all that stuff. And it's
Mhm.
like, if you've hit a plateau, it's a mindset issue. You've already mastered so much of the skills, you know when to work out, it's not so much about acquiring the skill, it's the mindset. Maybe it's even preventing you from pushing harder in your workout and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So that kind of stuck with me when we were
That's
talking about that.
that's
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
good. Oh, that's really good.
Mhm.
My word was strategic,
Yes.
and just yeah, the whole year was very strategic in that there were priorities around the things that I needed to do. Um, there's definitely um, planning involved and
Mhm.
being very calculated
Hmm.
or prudent, which I don't know if I've ever focused on. And so because
Mm.
of that, because of the strategy and just meaning like the prioritization of certain things and certain ways that God wanted to do in my life and in business and life, I feel like too, I received a lot
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
that. And so, yeah, it was really, really dope to, and I think it goes to what Dion was saying, like having that word in the forefront, it allowed me to always like reconnect with it and be like, okay, is this the focus? Is this consistent with what we said we were gonna do? And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing because you don't realize
Mhm.
how it's gonna play out, but you go with what you feel and or what you hear, what you know,
Mhm.
and it does. So that's really good. That's really, really
Yeah.
good. How was I consistent? Just going, I feel like I answered that. Going back to like, does this align? Does this align
Mhm.
Mhm.
with everything that I'm doing? Um, and I feel like being around people who had focuses in being postured, being in the overflow, I feel like I also benefited from that because as you guys were asking yourselves, like, is this the right am I in the right posture? Do I have the right position? Is this a part of the overflow? Is this an abundance mindset? Like, I also benefited because it allowed me to ask myself the same question, like, am I
Mhm.
postured? You know what I mean? Like, am
Mhm.
I in a position of like receiving? So it's been good. It's been really, really good
Yeah.
for sure.
I was going to say
Yeah.
definitely the community, like having the right circle.
Yes.
It's like, duh, we
Absolutely.
talk every day. How come I ain't think of that? But yeah.
Yeah. Because if not, the peanut gallery is waiting to derail you, criticize you under the guise of, as you said, Kophia, feedback or whatever. They're ready to take you off track. And if you don't have the right people, then you'll listen to
Hmm.
Yes.
them. Hmm.
Yep. Because usually they are the ones who are comfortable being like loud and wrong.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like you loud and wrong.
So
Yes.
how do we balance that consistency? Like I know we talked about like having the right community, but like
Hmm.
they are very loud at times.
Hmm.
And especially in business, sometimes the silence can be loud. So how
Mm.
I know for me it's like that like it's always that pull to listen to what's
Hmm.
happening out here in the streets
Hmm.
versus and it's really a faith, for me it's also like a matter of faith. Like, okay, I know I don't necessarily see X, Y, and Z, or maybe it's
Hmm.
not looking like how it should look. So like how do you guys kind of reconcile the two?
I don't know. Nicole, you want to go first?
The streets, look, the streets versus the house.
The
And I
streets
feel
versus the
like,
house. Lord.
because, and I think this is where experience comes in. Like, I'm at the point where I have so much confidence in what I've experienced in life to know that
Mhm.
it ain't nothing in the streets. And that's like metaphorically.
I'm laughing because in these Facebook groups, that's what the women are saying. Like, child, I go to work, I go to church, I hang out with my girlfriends once in a while, but I come home because there's nothing out here in these streets.
Nothing.
Exactly.
Not at all.
And
Not
people
at
be
all.
having these midlife crises where it's like you want to go back out, but
Hmm.
don't tear down your house trying to chase the streets. And I feel
Trying to
Mhm.
like
keep up with the trends.
yes.
Hmm.
And in business too, like we all have been, I don't none of us have chosen something in business without a lot of thought, without research, without
Hmm.
like we didn't just say, "Oh, I'm going to do this, that, and the other."
Right.
So once we have made this commitment and we've done all of this inner work and all, it's not easy. I'll be damned if I'm going to just drop it all because of what they're doing in the streets. Not that it's not enticing or you get like, oh my God, well, everybody's doing this. But you have to just, like you said, stay grounded in faith of why you are doing what you're doing.
Hmm.
Because a lot of this is the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
They're trying to tell us
Dang.
what to do and they don't
But
know
they're
what
not
they're
doing it.
doing.
Right. But they're not living it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that consistency, like going back to Nicole's example of working out, like you have to do those reps. If you don't do those reps when it's really time to hang in there, you're just going to kind of buckle. So I think being consistent in business, one, it's shown me what I'm capable of doing.
Mhm.
It's also helped me to build the muscle. So when trends come, I can recognize like, okay, I don't necessarily have to go after X, Y, and Z. Like it helps me to see like what strategies, what trends I should or shouldn't kind of go along with. And
Mm-hmm.
it just makes me stronger. Like it gives me tougher skin. Like that's
Yeah.
really important. I think a lot of people pivot just is it a
Ooh, child.
scarcity thing? Is it fear? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, why
That's
are they pivoting? Mm-hmm.
I think I think it's a matter of I think it's a matter of like the next shiny thing or the fear of missing out, like,
Hmm.
or the like not having the confidence in what you're doing or not knowing how it's going to look or not knowing, if it's actually working. So not really having like a root in
Mm.
well, one,
Mm.
you don't have somebody who's like you're not rooted in whatever it is, right? Because you're able to just pack up and just roll. But then the other side of that is you don't have anybody like guiding you, or you don't feel like you internally are able to guide yourself. And so you just kind of go with what everybody else, like the herd, you follow the herd. This is where they're moving.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I don't want to be left behind.
Hmm.
Like you think about
Right.
I
Right.
I remember like being on this farm or in this big land, and we were gonna go fishing with some of my friends, and he literally played a joke and just started running, and like we all started running, had no idea what we're running for. You know what I mean? Like
That's what we do
Uh-huh.
now. That's what we do because
right,
we'll ask questions later.
that part, and it's like, is that a good mentality? I mean, yeah, that might have been needed if you was a slave, but like
Mm. In
is that
business,
really
like,
needed
is
right
that gonna,
now? Is
yeah.
that
Right.
helpful? You know what I mean? Like, because
Hmm.
everybody's going this way, that like you need to go the other way because they don't.
Mm-hmm.
There's no exit over there.
Right.
Like,
I think for me
so
it's important, and especially I think Nicole has in our conversations tapped into this really well. It's like, well, I wonder why this is a thing. Like, where is this trend coming from? That would help me much
yeah,
more than just Like, child, I told somebody, I'm like, it was someone at work. I told them, like, trying to keep up with these algorithms, you'll make yourself dizzy. You will make yourself like
Mm,
I've long since given up on, not given up, but it's just not the priority for me.
Right.
And having that additional, whether it's through a coach, because, I know our coach had, when things were shifting a couple years ago, like, okay, this is the new way, just
Mm-hmm.
based on like that was very helpful versus I'm just doing it because it seemed
Yeah.
very sheepish,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
That's
And
good.
there's nothing wrong with putting new wrapping on something
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
Yeah.
otherwise, we are everything would look like it did 100 years ago. But you still have to know at the core what are your values, your principles, what is your business like, what are you doing, what
Mm-hmm.
transformation are you providing? And
Right.
yeah, you might put a little different spin, but like
Change your lipstick
people,
out a little bit,
yes, exactly.
new
Right.
hair,
Right. Right.
But some people are just like totally
Like
um
the surgery of the face.
yes, exactly. And you're not recognizable. And then you're starting from scratch all over again.
Right. And every time you start from scratch, now you're like putting yourself back a year or however long
Mhm.
Right.
you'd been doing that. Nicole, you
Yeah.
mentioned someone that you, I guess, follow. Like you're like, oh, I realized that I don't really like trust what this person is doing
Mm.
because they keep
Yeah.
changing. And I
Right.
think that's something that people don't realize about being inconsistent. It's
And
Mm.
we
like,
read like you don't, and it doesn't matter because this person is extremely intelligent. It
mhm,
doesn't matter how good it sounds or like, we know you're smart, you know how to execute or whatever. There's a basic distrust. I forgot how you said it earlier, but it's like there's a core, it's not even in my control that
yes,
rejects it.
it's
Mm-hmm.
natural. So it's like your person doesn't know. We don't know what to do with you. If for 3 months you're doing this, and now you're doing this for 3 months, you haven't given people enough time to really. It's like a relationship, right? Like you're
Yeah.
showing,
Mm,
if you're one way for 6 months, and then all of a sudden you've taken on a
Yeah.
new identity. It's very, very confusing. But
Yep.
something you said about changing the wrapping, you know, like your transformation, you know, and maybe even who you help. And I'm not saying that there's no room for pivoting, but I
mhm,
think we have to corner the market in a thing first. And it sounds very counterintuitive for us to say become known for this thing and then people will trust you, but that's literally how it works. So even like I've
mm,
had people come back to me, and if I can't help them with the thing, it's okay. Like I still refer them out, but their thought is, "Oh, this person's helped me with this before.
Yeah.
So let
mhm,
me start there."
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I'm just like, "No, let me stay here." And plus every time I say I'm going to put the LinkedIn thing down, then
it blows up. You see how
Again.
like everybody now is behind you trying to say they're a link, and that's a whole other story because there was somebody else we knew that was claiming to do all this with LinkedIn, and I'm just like,
child,
you don't even post on LinkedIn, but
you
yet
don't
you're
post.
helping people.
Your
You're,
primary platform is anyway. Is not LinkedIn. Like, okay, good luck.
and look
Yeah.
at Coca. Look at our best brands, Coca Cola. Yes, they did Diet Coke. They experiment. Some of them flop. Some of them, Coke
Yeah.
Zero.
Mhm.
But at the core, like, and
It's
especially when
Coke.
you go around the world, yes. Look, give me a Coke. They either got Coke, Fanta, or whatever. Coke or Fanta. Like Coke is a staple, and
Yeah.
Right.
that didn't happen overnight.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's being able to stay with something. Like what is one of the things I follow one of the guys I follow, he always says like if you don't see the fruit of it right then, if it's not working for you yet, it's working on you.
Mhm.
Mm,
And so it's just like being able to stay with something long enough that it works on you so that you become the person that it can begin to work for. So like
mm,
we move too quickly
Mhm.
before it gives us a chance to do what it needs to do. The other thing that I heard that I thought was so profound, same person, was, I think, did I tell y'all this? I think I did. But or I don't know who I was telling. It was between, there's a scripture that talks about God leads you through the valley of the shadow of death or whatever. And he talked about how the valley, like if there's a valley, that means that there's two mountains. And there's a mountain of just enough. So the mountain that you're coming off of is this mountain of just enough. The other mountain is the mountain of more than enough, right? So just enough is you just barely make it, but you're surviving, you're comfortable, you're good. Now, the more than enough is the one you want to get to. It's like, I got more than enough to do all the things. I'm fulfilling my purpose. I got all the resources. But in the valley, which is called the shadow of death, like the valley is the valley of not enough. And so for us, what happens is we leave this just enough to get to the valley of not enough. And instead of keep going so you can get to the more than enough,
you go back,
baby, to the just enough.
Mic drop.
Because it's comfortable. And
It's
I was
comfortable.
like,
and we want instant results. And I fight this in my my corporate career where people are like, oh, we tried this. And I'm like, y'all don't give it. Do you realize like the biggest brands, like Nicole says, they take years to test. It takes years to test a thing. How do you know what to continue in your business, what not to, like all the, from very top level stuff to the very like tactical? How do you know what to continue, what works, what doesn't work, if you're always dropping it and then switching up? And then in the meanwhile, of course, you're wasting time, but then like you're confusing the hell out of people. And so
and
people
they're
are
losing
like, y'all
trust
don't know what
over
y'all
time.
doing, so I can't trust you. Why would I trust you with my brands? Depending on what my money. I'm going to go on to somebody over here that seems pretty consistent.
Exactly.
And it's not because they're necessarily more skilled than you or that they are, I don't want to say prettier.
They're showing up consistently. That is it.
That's the thing.
That's the thing.
It's like,
and they're delaying gratification.
Yes. Yep. Because the instant results is counter like actual like real life. Like instant results work for food that's not necessarily good for you. It works for money that you can get from the casino, but you're not gonna be able to hold on to it because you still don't know how to manage. But anything that you want for a long time, you gotta build up to it. So that's good.
Yeah,
that's so good.
Yeah,
dang.
It takes discipline too, like because I talk a lot about boundaries, and I was in this business summit. I was part of this summit, and they were talking about just your messaging and stuff, and I was like, it literally is the boundaries with yourself. Like you have to establish that you're going to have enough discipline and boundaries not to be all over the place, as enticing as it and I think it's, remember that book I was telling you guys, and it was the sales book, but it was talking about disruptive emotions. And those emotions that take you, like the best salespeople can manage those disruptive emotions. But one of them is the fear, like when you're like, either there's silence or you're not getting a result. So you figure, oh God, I must be doing it wrong. You go to something else, and then you're all over the place, and then you don't have boundaries because you're not sticking to what you said, let alone what the audience expects. So it's just like, it's so deep, the internal work. People just think, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur.
I was just thinking, and everybody wants to be in business, and then those silent moments happen, and then it's like, oh snap!
Like, I don't think I was cut out for this. Never mind.
I don't know.
I'll pass.
Let me go back to the just enough.
Just enough. Right. Just enough mountain. I was making it over there. Wasn't nothing getting cut off. I had food. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was good.
Right.
But were you?
But then that goes back to like, are we really, we being the entrepreneurial space in that space, are we being really honest and transparent when we're showing business, like the life of an entrepreneur? I feel like nobody really talks about when you don't bring in no income, like we like to talk about 5-figure months, 6-figure months or quarters, but then because I've had that where it was like, oh, it's
Mhm.
great, and then that's going to have to be it for a while, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think for me that goes back to the consistency piece because after you do that for so many years, like I already know Q2 is going to be off the hook. Q1 is pretty
Mhm.
dead, right? It's usually the last quarter, the second quarter, third quarter is kind of hit or miss because, vacation time and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But once you've done that enough and you can look back and see what the patterns are, then you can plan
Adjust.
accordingly.
Right.
You can adjust, right?
Yeah.
Nobody really shows that side of like, oh, I ain't
I
had no
Mm.
think it's
income this month.
not exactly, and it
What'd
goes
you say?
against I think it's counter a lot of the business coaches are afraid to do it because their whole premise is I'm making this much money. I'm going to show you how to. So they're afraid to pull back the curtain because they feel like, well, what is my whole that breaks down what I'm even trying to sell
Right.
you because I'm
Hmm.
selling you consistent 6-figure months, but they probably yeah, it needs to be more realistic versus the image they're trying to portray.
Yeah.
That's good.
We have to do a whole nother episode on what are the pros and cons of being an entrepreneur. Like I would
Okay.
Mm,
just
yes,
put a nice little list down. Like this is what people really don't share. This is what you don't
yes.
know. Right.
These are
Yep.
the characteristics. Like you have to kind of, who is it we were looking at? You got to be stubborn, a bit unrealistic because the peanut gallery is always going to bring reality to you. Like
Hmm.
the market is bad, people aren't buying this,
You're
that,
going
and
to
the
give up
other.
your good job with benefits.
Life
Yeah.
is the doom. They gotta sell you the fear. It's a fear
Right.
tactic.
You have to learn not to
Fall
take
into that.
in that feeling that they're projecting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it's
Hmm.
always presented as reality. I'm just
Hmm.
sharing reality with you. Like, you just need to know that, it's tough. And it's like, there's points when you need to be so confident or delusion. I don't know what you call it, like so stubborn that you don't care what they're saying. You're just going to move forward anyway.
Someone described. I was at a training yesterday, and we ended in prayer. And the prayer was like, it was like God, let our ideas be so ridiculous or so
Mm,
like. And as an entrepreneur, that's what you need. Like, there's a certain level of like, okay, this is reality.
Hmm.
But during those times where you're not seeing movement, when the money's not coming in, you
Yeah.
do have to stay focused on like that big, scary dream vision.
Audacious.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
because my
Yep.
dream is like I want to transform the experience of marriage for women, modern
Hmm.
women, or whoever they are, where it literally stabilizes families. And when the families are stabilized, that's stabilizing you economically and
Hmm.
emotionally and generationally. Like I don't want it to just stop with, oh, now you know how to cook and clean or whatever, like, or whatever the case may be. I want it to go so much farther to
Hmm.
where it's hitting the next generations because of how you're training them, because of
Hmm.
what you learned from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's legacy work. It's definitely legacy work what we do. And
Hmm.
that
that could be a
fuels my
topic.
consistency, you know. That's really
I'm
good.
writing that down. Legacy work. Sorry.
This is legacy work. So then let's flip this around then. So we talked
Okay.
about consistency in business, but like how do we know when it's time to pivot?
Ooh. Well, what can you
I don't
define?
know if
Because
I
I
can
wanted to
answer
say,
that.
what is pivot exactly? What is pivot versus adapt?
Okay.
Mm.
Let me look that
Hmm.
up. Hold on.
We're gonna look up the definition because we
She's
want to
gonna be
be
like, Chat GPT.
And
What?
that's
accurate.
another thing. All the people who fear mongered about that. And look,
Oh yeah, that's a whole yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
Hmm. So
So how do you
pivot,
know when to pivot? Mm-hmm.
and I'm not saying pivoting is not bad. I feel like in order, at least from from my experience, for me to feel like it's time to pivot, I have to do the consistency part first.
Yes.
Like if it's not a
Yeah, you can't
viable,
pivot from something. Hmm.
right? How do you pivot from something you only been doing it for a couple of
A
weeks?
month. I know.
Right,
You just made one post. Oh, nobody liked it.
right.
And then
You didn't seek help. That's the other thing, right? It's like we just
hmm
tried it, and it's like, oh well. I'm like, well, did you get help? Did you like what? For me, I need to feel like I gave it 110%. Now, the beauty
Hmm.
of being an entrepreneur is I don't feel like doing this anymore. So, there's that. So if you don't feel
yeah,
like it, that's fine. But I feel like for serial pivoters,
there's a
I
pattern you
there's
need.
a
Because why are
pattern.
you being ruled by your feelings? That's my
Sophia, why you make
concern.
that face?
No, I thought because you said serial pivoters. I'm like, that is a name.
Because I don't know. What else? I don't know what else to
I
call
think
it.
it's a great name, but it's like,
You a
listen,
killer.
All right,
You are
let's
here's the
serious.
let me
definition
write
of
that on my
pivot.
little dry erase board. Serial
Pivot,
pivoters.
yeah, you can talk to them. A pivot is making a fundamental change to your business after determining your product no longer meets the needs of your target market.
Now, when I looked,
I
it
see.
was a
That's a good
simpler,
definition.
yeah, because this said completely change the way in which one does something.
So
So you
they
get,
are not
yeah.
pivoting according to this definition. They are just making a change based on the
They're abandoning
inconsistency.
ship.
They weren't consistent, and so they're making a change based on a expectation that was unrealistic, and now they're doing something different.
Hmm.
And they're being controlled by emotions because they're saying, I don't feel like doing this anymore.
Right.
Well, did the
There's no depth.
CEO of Coke feel like it? Like, what is this thing with these feelings? Like, y'all got to stop just
Nicole gonna
being
pull
rude.
them brands out, honey. She gonna talk about Apple and
Listen.
Amazon
Yes.
and Coke.
Because did he feel like it when Jeff Bezos, when he was going from just a little selling books?
Hmm.
Like, when you keep saying what you feel like doing, I'm just not getting what is the core of what's motivating you.
Then
Because
go back.
feelings are so fleeting.
Right. Then
Right.
go work a job, and then you can do that. But
Then you gonna not feel like going to work.
then you're not
So
gonna feel like going to
you're,
work because you don't want nobody to tell you what to do. Then there's that.
Right.
yeah,
Right. You're gonna have to
Yeah.
master your emotions if you're
Yeah.
going to
yes.
be successful in business.
Say it
Hmm.
And
again. Tell
you
the
have
people.
to. You
Yes.
have to master your emotions.
Child.
Because if not, you are gonna be tossed to and fro and to and fro and be broke. Ain't got no money. Like what?
And frustrated and
Yeah.
lost. And I did not
Yeah.
feel like coming down here and recording content this morning. My
Mm.
brain was fried, and I was like, Dion, you have to like you
Yeah.
gotta
Do the things that you
you
know allow you to show up every day
right.
and attract the
Hmm.
people that you want. Like attraction doesn't mean that you're not doing anything.
Right.
Yeah. People just think I'm just
Like
look,
I'm
don't get
here.
me on that. Yeah. And
And
Attraction
part
means
of it
like
is like we all not all, but a lot of us
hmm,
seek autonomy. That
yes,
comes with a price. That means
absolutely.
baby.
self-mastery. Because you can go to the job, let the man tell you what to do, and then you won't have autonomy. Or you can have it, but know that it's all those things you said.
Hmm.
Control, mastering your emotions, doing it when you don't feel like it, having a
Hmm.
routine.
All
And
the
this
things that
is
you're gonna have when you work for the man, but now you have a reason. You think you're getting away from it. It's like, no, that helps you to
No.
do it for you.
yes.
And
Why
listen,
can't
if you
we?
want best of both worlds, do both.
Love
Yes.
it.
Whatever that looks like for you. I think when you mentioned oh, we were talking about showing up and doing what you don't feel like doing.
Hmm.
when I get to the point in my business though, when I'm when I'm feeling like I'm grinding too much, like if I need to instead of me recording like new content, if I need to do a replay,
Mm-hmm.
like it's that balance of like, yes, you want to take care of yourself, you want to pace yourself, but that is not being an entrepreneur is not a reason to kick back and be lazy. And I think people
Yeah.
just want stuff. Again, it goes back to that instant gratification. We just want stuff to fall in our
Not go
laps.
to my lap. I don't want to do nothing.
I don't want to do nothing. You listen, go be like that dude that paid his wife, was it $250 a year? Oh, Nicole, I saw that. It's
You
circulating in the
see?
Facebook
Yes.
group.
And she has peak femininity. Listen, ladies, y'all, look, that's the next episode. You want
Oh, we got
the
to do that.
most masculine provider man. It's a give and take in life. You're never going to get something without giving. She's giving. You know what she's giving for that 250,000? And I think it's naira. It's not dollars, but whatever. It's she's giving her femininity, which she has honed and crafted. So, baby, she's not laying up in the bed, not getting herself together, looking lazy, talking about I'm not
Eating
doing
hot,
nothing, giving my 250,000.
eating hot Takis.
Yeah,
She ain't
Listen,
with a bonnet.
Dion. Oh
She sit up in the look. We want to sit
in
in
a
the bed with our
bonnet.
bonnet
No,
on, eating
she's
hot
not.
Takis. She's not doing that.
she
Lord.
has peak femininity. So it's like whether it's business, life, relationships,
It's
you
give and
will
take.
never get anything for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, and isn't that show Kendra G? They will literally have people coming on with bonnets saying they're not dating a man who makes less than 500,000.
He ain't dating
Ma'am,
you.
ma'am,
You're not making 100,000, ma'am. Let's start there.
and you're not
And there's nothing wrong with
presenting
that.
yourself.
But
Yes, you're
yes,
not
yes.
presenting yourself to attract that. You're not.
Ooh, okay,
So
that's another episode. We gotta
you done got me
put a
fired
pin in
up
that.
because that is my pet
Hold on,
peeve.
let me type it in the tech in
But
the
yeah,
notes.
being in business requires you to be consistent. Now, when you have built your business to a certain point, which goes back to like setting your goals, when you've built your business to a certain point, when maybe you're in a different, like, I don't want to do this until I'm 70. I'm 45. I might do this until maybe 50, 55. Right. So now I'm in the stage of like, all right, what does this look like? Is this a business I want to sell? Do I want to bring in people, build capacity so then I can just fall back?
Sit back.
And I think Coach Kelly did a good job with that with Natural Girls Rock, which I was heartbroken because I was like, Natural Girls Rock was my jam. But if you're in a different space or different phase of life, sure. But all this, I don't even want to call it pivoting because I think Kofia's definition was really, really good. I just feel like
That's not what they know.
It's just this shiny object syndrome that's going around. And
Mm-hmm.
all the people that we follow online, I know we have all have our favorites. They've been consistent. Think about the people who we look up to in the entrepreneurial space. Like they're consistent.
David Shands is on episode 248.
Listen, and if they do pivot, they've pivoted after a long time.
And there's only 52 weeks in a year, baby. So how many years is that?
Oh yeah, his podcast though. That hot seat.
Yes. And then he adapted, right? Because he didn't start with the hot seat. That is a perfect example. And then he branched out because it wasn't
jump to TV show.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It was just so I just love how the ones that we love do it because then they become the brand. So they've built up enough trust that when they switch up a little bit. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Because my other brand that I love, American Girl Doll.
Right.
When I go there, they have they've updated and they have different cultural backgrounds. They're always doing something, but the core experience when you walk in that store is the same. It's so consistent.
They're gonna treat you like royalty.
Yeah.
Yes.
High quality.
So we need to do a separate podcast. So that's two topics. We got to talk about that Uh, is it the stay-at-home wife?
Mm-hmm.
And then like our favorite brands. I would love for us to talk about that and why we like
Oh,
those brands.
yeah.
Ooh, you got that, Kofia?
Yep. I'm writing it in a little thing right now.
Poor Kofi. She got to keep up all these crazy ideas.
It's labeled triple O P. Never mind.
Oh, this is so good. I hope
That's
we
good.
inspire some people to just, we've all been there. When
Be
you're in the
consistent.
trenches, oh God, it's horrible. It is,
Hmm.
you're like questioning yourself, you're doubting, you're crying, I still go through that stuff. I mean, I'm just talking from what I have learned. I'm not saying that I have arrived at this place, but just the observation of like what it takes to just keep going, even when you're not getting all the positive
Hmm.
feedback in that moment.
Yep.
I agree. I agree.
So speaking of consistency, and we started off talking about our words for the year.
Hmm.
So
Last year, I don't think we gave this year's word.
oh, okay. So okay. Well, I had a question about what do each of us have coming up this year that we want people to know about, but we can start. We can do the
Mm.
words.
Okay. We can
Yeah.
tie it both in together.
Okay.
So my word is expansion, and it's a little more active than overflow. So it's continuing to receive the fruits of my labor, but it's also actively like, if you think about markets, they always have to expand, products have to
Mhm.
expand into new markets. So I'm really
Okay.
looking at being more of a face of boundaries and femininity and healthy relationships. So I have my masterclass coming up next week. It
Okay.
is the Banish Burnout and Build Bliss Masterclass. We're all going to put the links to our stuff in the show notes. And I also have a challenge for all of you ladies who want to attract that masculine man. I have a 3-day Flourish in Your Femininity challenge that will teach you all the secrets to go on that path. Whether it's stay at home wife or whatever it is, but you're looking for the provider, the protector, you really got to tap into your femininity.
Yes. I will
That's
say
awesome.
Nicole's program. I'm in that one of her memberships. Ooh, child. I'm a new person. I don't do none of this anymore. I don't do the. Let me tell you. I'm not
Oh,
doing
not the
that.
clap.
I'm not doing the clapping no more.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so good. That is so freaking
Oh
good.
gosh.
What's my word? My word this year is grace. It's the year of grace. It's the year of grace, meaning God's ability
Hmm.
to be, do, have all I'm supposed to have. In addition to grace, it's also intentionally loving other people. And
Mm.
so just walking in love on purpose through service. And part of that is serving families, serving moms, helping them become the best version of themselves. And as far as coming up, if you are local to my area and I'm hiring people who would like to become servants, but of course, getting paid for it to help other people
Mm.
transform their lives, provide all the training resources that you need. And you can reach out to me via email. And of course, it'll all be down below. But it's the year of just God's ability. So
Mm.
overcoming the things that I'm supposed to overcome so that I can help the people that I'm supposed to help. So that's
Love
what I
it.
I
got
love
going
that.
on.
I love that.
It.
Yes.
Let's see. 2022. It was
No, three. Oh, 2022. Okay.
audacity
She going back.
Uh-huh.
She going back. She just
because
want
it's
to.
all
Okay.
leading up. I got a
She want to
story.
leave.
Okay.
I
Okay.
knew where she
Okay.
was
Okay.
going. She
Okay.
was like, I gotta.
I feel
Audacity
you. Uh-huh.
2022 was taking bold risks. 2023, it was a result of those bold risks being postured. And now that I've had all these doors open, like this year is anchored. That is my word for this year. I feel like a lot of times with these words, we feel like it has to be a word that incites action, but I also,
Mm-hmm.
and not that this is inaction, but I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
again, going back to consistency, like I found I'm on the right wavelength right now.
Hmm.
Yes.
And I just feel really it feels right. It feels aligned for me.
That's good.
So it's doubling down on what I've been doing, being more known, and if it ain't broke, I'm not going to fix it right now,
Yes.
right? If it ain't broke. Uh, what's coming up for this year? So Friday, I actually just picked the date. Friday, February 16th, um, at 12 Eastern is the first LinkedIn masterclass of the year. It's how to turn your LinkedIn profile into a lead magnet. I have done this
Yes.
1,000 times, but I always enjoy doing it because I actually teach something new at every class. So for those who want to learn how to elevate their online brand with LinkedIn, that is LinkedInleadmagnet.com. Also, brunching and branding is my LinkedIn and personal branding training. I have not picked the date yet for that, but there is time to join the wait list at brunchandbranding.com and all this other stuff. You can go to work with Dion to get all that information. So
Get that early
Oh,
bird ticket. What is it? The buy right now? Because
yeah, so there's
you
a
might
right
want to miss
now
that.
rate. So when it opens, it's going to be open for like a week, and then after
Mhm.
that, it's early bird and so on and so forth. It'll probably be in the
Mhm.
fall. In the fall.
nice. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it. Love it.
Yay.
Let's get
All
it. Let's get
right.
it. Well, it's been great chatting with you all.
All right. We'll see
Yeah.
you
Next
next
week.
week. All right.
All right.
Same place,
Bye.
same
Bye.
time.